Okay, so this is the big one. This is a long time coming. I'm really sorry it took so long to make this one. I know I did the poll for it like, what was that, like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago I finished the poll. I started it like almost 3 weeks ago. And yeah, just a lot of shit happened this month. I had to get my car fixed, my droid broke. Just a bunch of wah boo-hoo about my life. But here we go for the long-awaited crossover battle. Tekking101 Showdowns. Itachi Uchiha from Naruto versus Ulquiorra Schiffer from Bleach. Here we go. This was a toughie. This was a hard one. And it's normally because when I did Ichigo versus Naruto, which I'm sure some people are still mad about that, but when I did Ichigo versus Naruto, the thing was with that, Ichigo and Naruto were very frontline type fighters. They didn't have a lot of a lot of tricks up their sleeve, you know. They didn't have like a lot of other ways, you know. It's just like, you know, Ichigo sees a bad guy, he just rushes him and hits him with the sword. Naruto sees a guy, he just rushes him and hits him with Rasengan, you know. And these characters fight a little bit differently. Mostly Itachi. Itachi was really difficult. So, you know, just standard disclaimers, my opinion. I don't really think I'd have to say that at this point, but I'm gonna get mail over this either way. I'm probably gonna get more mail over this than the Naruto and Ichigo one. I'm feeling like I am. But one thing I want to make perfectly clear before we get into this is that if whoever wins these fights, I don't do it biased on the series. What I mean by that is, when I did Naruto versus Ichigo, I said Naruto would win. That doesn't mean I think the Naruto series is better than Bleach. I'm not sitting there thinking like, oh, well, Ichigo is probably going to win, but I can't have Bleach beat Naruto. Naruto's so much better than Bleach. Now, I'm not doing it like that. It's literally me sitting down and just trying to figure this out with my own way that I do this. And once again, if you don't like the way I'm doing it, go watch another YouTube video. I'm sure you'll find somebody out there that does crossover battles that agrees with you. Okay, so for those of you who are just joining with us, I usually do these crossover battles with 5 basic attributes. I do attack, defense, speed, augmentation abilities, and miscellaneous abilities. Now, with Ichigo and Naruto, I could just jump right into it and go like attack and defense right down the line. But this is the main reason this fight would be so difficult is because these characters wouldn't exactly jump into a fight right away like Ichigo and Naruto would. So I'm going to start off with miscellaneous abilities first. I'm going to start off with abilities that don't really fall into those into the major 4 categories. With Itachi, and probably the first thing you guys are going to jump to when I'm saying this is Genjutsu. You know, obviously, right? Itachi could just use Genjutsu and there you go, Ulquiorra. You're just trapped in Tsukuyomi, and then he whips out a freaking Amaterasu or Susanoo Totsuka Blade, and just boom! Okay, Itachi wins. Okay, everybody, it's cool. Crossover battle's done. If you say anything other than that, Tekking, you are a fucking idiot. Also, we're not doing Ito Tensei Itachi, in case you weren't aware. No, we're not doing that. I found the idea of having basically an immortal zombie that could regenerate limbs whenever he gets damaged. I found that maybe a little bit too OP. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at it this way. Just deviate from that path. Okay. I wanted to do this fight based on how Itachi would fight. Itachi, he's a strong dude. But would he really start off a fight going Susanoo and Totsuka Blade? Probably not. He did it that one time when he was fighting against Sasuke, but that wasn't right away. That is a last-ditch effort, but let's get to Genjutsu first. Okay, so Genjutsu. Using the Sharingan, or to a greater extent Mangyako Sharingan, let's just say Mangyako, because that's usually what he would probably jump to. He would probably notice that, Ulquiorra is a very strong opponent, and of course we're doing the whole parallel universe thing where they're fighting in a neutral ground, so, he still has chakra, Ulquiorra would still have Ryatsu and everything, but Itachi could probably still sense that this guy's a strong dude. So, Itachi never likes to fight right away. He never likes to jump into combat with a kunai knife or with a fireball jutsu. He'll usually do that as a diversionary tactic, but he won't ever jump into it. Usually he likes to diffuse it through Genjutsu because that's what he's good at. That's what his strongest suit is. So he's going to probably pull out the Mangyako Sharingan and try to trap Ulquiorra in some kind of Tsukuyomi or some kind of Genjutsu. Now, would Ulquiorra be able to dodge that? A lot of people said, well, yeah, he would, because he has his Sonido, and Itachi's never been known for his speed. So, Ulquiorra would be able to just Sonido so fast, you wouldn't be able to seek eye contact, because that's the only way you can get caught by Genjutsu. You have to meet direct eye contact, even if it's just for a second. Even if it's just for a moment of glance of just looked at this guy in the eye, you're trapped. So, Yeah, I'm gonna say his Sonido could probably avoid a Genjutsu attack, a Mangekyo attack, but think of it this way. At the same time, would Ulquiorra know that, like, oh, this guy is going to try to hypnotize me with his eyes. I have to make sure not to make an eye contact. I got to keep moving. Ulquiorra's not going to know that. And that's not even just Ulquiorra. That's like most people from even Naruto that don't know that. I mean, even in the Naruto series, where Sharingan is a very well-known ability that the Uchihas have, a lot of times is when you get into a fight with an Uchiha, their first idea is not, oh shit, I better keep moving so I don't see this guy in the eye. I got to keep my eyes shut. Usually that's not their the first thing they jump to, which usually results in them getting trapped. So, you know, this might piss somebody off right away, but I'm going to say Ulquiorra gets trapped. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Ulquiorra stares at Itachi like they just show up in this plane of this showdown. You know, Itachi senses, oh, this guy's pretty strong. I should probably take him out with Tsukuyomi. You know, Mangekyo. And Ulquiorra's just like, okay, what's going on? So, stop right here. Let's just... Okay, Ulquiorra gets trapped by Tsukuyomi. Let's just say it's Tsukuyomi. That's Itachi's strongest Genjutsu. He might not do that right off the cuff, but it's his strongest. He's done it... Well, actually, no. He did it right off the cuff with Kakashi and with even with Sasuke when they first had their confrontation. So, Tsukuyomi, the Nightmare Realm. Basically what it is, it's basically like the king of all Genjutsus. It basically sucks the opponent into some third pseudo-space, like a pocket dimension, that's basically under Itachi's complete control. Itachi is basically God here. He can control time and space within the Tsukuyomi. Mostly he just makes it look out to be a very boring red sky looking environment. I don't know. He doesn't have much of a creative spark. I don't know. But usually you can be used to either inflict physical pain like he did with Kakashi. He basically strung Kakashi up on a cross and stabbed him repeatedly for 3 days, but it was only like a second on the outside. Or it could invoke mental pain or mental stress, as he did with Sasuke. He basically sent Sasuke into the same time frame, about 3 days, but it was just him watching his parents getting murdered over and over and over again. So, you know, Itachi can be pretty clever exactly how he does this, but with Ulquiorra, I mean, there's not going to be much of any, like, the guy's aspect of death is freaking nihilism. He's freaking nothingness. I highly doubt there's anything that Itachi would be able to do to really mess this guy up emotionally like he hasn't already been. So let's just go with the physical pain. Let's go with Itachi sucking him into a Genjutsu Tsukuyomi realm, where he just does kind of something similar to what Kakashi did. Maybe it's a little bit more extreme. Maybe instead of just stabbing him with that Tonto, he like cuts and shreds Ulquiorra's body into 1,000 pieces. Alright. Well, Ulquiorra, being in a Espada, being in a Rancor, really, he's not even really a human. You know, he has a very high tolerance for pain, this guy. Not only for the fact that we also have Hario here, and Hario is also kind of a miscellaneous ability. I was going to throw that in with defensive abilities, of course, but with Hario, you can say he's also pretty resistant of that. Although, then you can say this isn't really actual physical pain. It's not like the guy is actually bleeding in real life. He's just bleeding mentally, but it's being perceived as pain. But you have to figure, as an Rancor, as an Espada, he would have a pretty good high pain tolerance, you know, just for that fact. What this basically comes down to is me saying that, yeah, he can get trapped in Tsukuyomi, yeah, Itachi can inflict all this mental pain on him that he wants to, but I don't think that's really going to do much. I don't see Ulquiorra just, like, falling to his knees in exhaustion like Kakashi did. Kakashi was a normal human. He had limits. He had degrees that he could, you know, withstand. Ulquiorra has limits as well, but they're way, way more bolstered, way more Herculean than any normal human's going to be. Okay, so maybe you're thinking, okay, well, maybe Itachi can control time and space here. It doesn't have to be 3 days. Maybe it's over an insanely long period of time. Maybe he can compress a year, 2 years, 10 years into like a single minute, and that would cause Ulquiorra some major duress. Maybe then he would get worn down. Maybe. But you have to figure, after he used Tsukuyomi for that 3-day period with Kakashi, he was pretty winded. Kasame, I think, even looked over at him and just like, you cannot overuse those eyes like that. That was kind of careless to do that. And they had to retreat after that. And later on, when he used his Amaterasu, after they were fleeing from the whole Jiraiya thing, he's just like, man, I had to use Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi like in the same day. That really took my wind out. He had to retract his Sharingan and everything. Like, he couldn't maintain shit. He's a regular human. He's got limits. Alright, so, you know, okay. Ulquiorra gets trapped by his Tsukuyomi. But after a couple of hours with doing this, you know, even with, like, the most insane amount of torture you can imagine, even if Itachi, like, literally turned into freaking Hellraiser and like the freaking what are they called? What are they called in Cell Razor? Xenophytes or Xenophytes or whatever they're called. You know, like the hooks showing up everywhere, like literally ripping Ulquiorra apart and disemboweling him like over and over and over again. I cannot imagine this after a while. Ulquiorra would be really that physically. Ulquiorra would just be like, you know, this isn't going to get you anywhere, right? And Itachi would just be like, okay, probably. It's gonna wear on his chakra. It's gonna wear on his abilities. So maybe after a couple hours of this, you know, it's going to be pointless, and he's just going to retract his Tsukuyomi, because he's going to realize this is going nowhere. I can either burn out my chakra with him trapped in my Genjutsu getting nowhere, or I could try to take him on with ninjutsu and try to fight him. So that's my spiel on the Genjutsu. That's why what I think Genjutsu would not work, or at least Tsukuyomi would not work against Ulquiorra. You know, that's just my idea for there. For miscellaneous, miscellaneous abilities, I think, let me just go over Ulquiorra's one more time to make sure there's really nothing miscellaneous with this. With Itachi, with Genjutsu in general. Now, he can use Genjutsu as a distraction. That would work very well as a distraction, like with his, let's just talk about his crow clones, his dust crow jutsu, what he does. Basically, he doesn't really use shadow clones. I mean, he can use them, but mostly what Itachi likes to use is his crow clone technique. So, maybe not Tsukuyomi, maybe not sucking Ulquiorra into his world. I keep saying Itachi sucking on Ulquiorra a lot. Maybe that's kind of a double entendre. What I mean is, he can, like, Ulquiorra attacks him, and to compensate for his Sonido, because, you know, Ulquiorra would be insanely faster than freaking Itachi in just terms of that, you know, maybe he could use the Dust Crow technique to kind of distract Ulquiorra. That kind of Genjutsu would work against him. I'm just talking about the stuff that would physically immobilize him, physically torture him, physically just cause him to pass out. That shit's not going to work on Ulquiorra. So for miscellaneous abilities, I'm going to give those really to... Here's the thing, I'm going to give that to Itachi. Only because Ulquiorra doesn't really have any real miscellaneous abilities like that. He doesn't really have any other underhanded tactics that he really uses. Pretty much every one of Ulquiorra's abilities that I came up with here on this list can all be categorized in those other categories. So I'm going to give that to Itachi, but only because Ulquiorra really doesn't have any of them. But they can still be useful on Ulquiorra's or on Itachi's part. All right, so let's go over on attacking. Now that we got the big one out of the way, I had to get Genjutsu out of the way. Susanoo's coming up. That's going to be an augment. Just hold your horses, okay? That's the second thing. If the Genjutsu thing's not going to be the thing people are going to jump to, the second thing people are going to jump to are just going to be like, Totsuka Blade, you lose, bitch! Just bear with me here. Okay, so attack. So, provided the Genjutsu doesn't work, which would be Itachi's primary mode of attack, he's going to switch to ninjutsu. Ulquiorra, let's talk about how Ulquiorra fights. Now, Ulquiorra is a very arrogant son bitch, to say the least. With his fight against Ichigo, throughout all of his fights against Ichigo, he really viewed Ichigo as not a threat. He viewed him as just kind of a peon, something that cannot be stronger than him. So, for the most part, he just fought him with his sword. And to be fair, he's pretty gifted with the sword. Maybe he might break out a Sero, his green, just regular base Sero. You know, so he doesn't really jump to his released form right away. After doing the whole Genjutsu thing, and provided he survives it, he's probably going to realize, okay, Itachi's pretty strong, but I don't think it would warrant him going into his released form yet. I don't really think he's going to view it as that big of a threat, because, yeah, he did this weird dimensional thing where he was, like, in some pseudo-reality being, like, tortured, but he wasn't really injured at the end of the day of it, so he's probably not going to, he's like, okay, that was weird. So, you know, he's probably just going to engage him with a sword and with Sero. Now, Itachi, like we said, we got the Genjutsu, we got the Dust Crow technique, which, the Sero, you know, it's pretty strong. You know, Ulquiorra's strong, Sero is pretty basic. It's not like a Mountain Buster or anything like that, but it's not like on the level of Ichigo's Sero was in the last video, last crossover battle I did, but it's still pretty decent, you know? Ichigo was able to withstand it and everything, but Itachi is not as physically strong as Ichigo. He's not like a buff guy, you know what I'm saying? But he has the Dust Crow technique. He's pretty good at dodging things. He's good at the body flicker technique, which is kind of like speed, but not really. But, so I think that if Ulquiorra just fired off a single Sero, we're talking base form here, we're not talking Sero Ascius, we're not talking Grenrei, we're just talking his regular green Sero, you know, which he can fire off. We've never really seen him do Gatling versions of that. We've seen some Espada do that, like fire off multiple Seros at once. Well, actually, no, did we only see Stark do that? I don't really think we saw a bunch of, like, usually it's only one and done with the base form. It's never... Now, aside from Stark, I've never seen them fire off multiple Seros in base form. So let's just say base form, it's just a linear attack, which, as long as Itachi avoids it using Dust Crow Body Flicker, Sero ain't going to do nothing, really, to him. So, we have that. We have Sword. We have the Sword, which Ulquiorra is going to fight with in base form here. We have Itachi, who, primary method of physical attack, we're not talking Mangekyo yet, is Fireball technique. So he's got the Fireball technique, he's got Phoenix Flower technique, he's got the one of my personal favorites, the Fire Nails technique, where he literally lights the shuriken on fire, and he does that. So, he can use that against Ulquiorra. Thing is, though, Ulquiorra, on top of being also, he's very arrogant, and he's also very aware of his own strengths. He's aware that, hey, I got Hario, I got Iron Skin, so unless you make it blatantly obvious that you can just cut, like, you can actually cut me, which, I'm sorry to say, Itachi, but your shuriken, kunai knives, and even if they're covered in fire, I ain't gonna do anything to Ulquiorra's skin. You know, that's just gonna boing. That's gonna bounce right off the dude. You really can't even argue that either. You know, pretty much, even if Fireball Jutsu, even if he did Fireball Jutsu, point blank range in Ulquiorra's freaking schnoz, you know, that's not gonna do anything. That might mildly annoy the dude. Aside from the regeneration abilities, fire ain't gonna do nothing. So we're just doing fire abilities there. I gotta, you know, really, the sad thing is we don't know much about Itachi in terms of physical attacks, just in terms of that, in terms of regular ninjutsu. Pretty much all of his abilities exist in Mangekyo form. So, let's just jump right to that, I guess, because there's really nothing else I can talk about in terms of Itachi's just standard jutsu. I mean, there's a couple water-style jutsus he used in the anime, I think, but even, I mean, that's just the same thing. I mean, oh, water bullet fang technique, I mean, ow, that mildly annoyed my steel skin, you know, so let's just jump to Mangekyo, let's just jump to that, which is really technically supposed to be an augments, but whatever, this whole organizational system I came up with is kind of broken anyway, so let's just stay with attack. So let's say, alright, so that didn't work, fire's not going to work, probably any other style of jutsu's not going to work, so he jumps to Mangekyo. He jumps to the big guns. He's breaking out the Amaterasu. Oh yeah, Amaterasu. Black fire. Hotter than the sun. I would like to pause right here and state that my previous assertion that Amaterasu was hotter than the sun was actually inaccurate. I later discovered on searching the internet that Amaterasu was actually not as hot as the sun, and probably closer to actually the regular fire. Yeah, that kind of happens. So I don't know why I thought that. I think a long time ago somebody said, or I read somewhere on a wiki or a forum, that Itachi's Amaterasu, or Amaterasu in general, is supposed to be hotter than the sun. And, you know, I just took that at face value because I figured, ooh, black fire that can never be extinguished except, you know, by the user. I'm thinking, okay, that's pretty cool. But, you know, after you actually think about it, sitting around and thinking about it, I'm like, not really hotter than the sun. Just for the fact that he hit the 8 Tails with it, Sasuke did, and, you know, that, I mean, it set Killer Bee on fire, and he was obviously in pain, but hotter than the sun, that dude would be incinerated. That's the key word here, incineration. Like, not burn, incinerate, gone, dust, molecules, you know? And that's clearly not the case. When it was covering the entire forest, you know, Yamato used that, you know, earth splitter technique to split the forest, and the trees were still on fire. Like, Amaterasu is supposed to be fire that's, you know, indistinguishable, but it couldn't even burn through some trees in a couple of hours, a couple of minutes, you know. So what I'm going to say with the Amaterasu, the thing that we know about the Amaterasu is that it can never be quenched, except whatever it comes in contact with is completely extinguished, or if the user retracts it. So, if Amaterasu is used on my cup here, you know, the Amaterasu is going to continue to burn until this cup is completely incinerated, or until somebody retracts the Amaterasu, okay? That's the only way it's going to go away. Now, the flames can still spread, so if I drop the cup and the fire hits my house, then my house is basically gone. But, that would be suck for the firefighters, right? Firefighters show up, just, it's not working! What the hell? So, yeah, you know, that's how Amaterasu works in terms of longevity, but in terms of the actual strength of the fire itself, I'm going to say it's not going to be much stronger than regular fire. I'm going to say it's stronger than normal fire, because we had the issue with the Stone Toad, when Itachi escaped Jiraiya's Toad Mouth Trap Jutsu, where basically he was trapped in the gut of this giant toad, and this toad apparently had the ability to breathe fire, and since Amaterasu could break through the wall, break through the boundaries, you know, Jiraiya is just like, okay, this toad had the ability to burn fire itself, and this kind of black fire managed to incinerate it. So I'm going to say it's at least a little bit hotter than normal fire, probably not insanely, like just the same as I don't know, I think black, isn't black on the fire spectrum? Because I think it goes like orange, red, and then blue, and then eventually white hot is the hottest, but black might be in there too. But I'm just going to say it might be on the same degree as, you know, blue hot fire or white hot fire. It's going to be hotter than the normal flame, like normal fireball jutsu. It just can't be quenched. So, let's say that. Let's say he breaks out the Amaterasu Mangekyo and ignites Ulquiorra on fire. So, you know, we don't really... given what we just said, I mean, I can't really backpedal on it now. I just basically said Amaterasu cannot be quelled, so I'm just going to go on and just say that it wouldn't work. You might be mad at me about that, but I just basically, I mean, if it didn't even really have enough firepower to incinerate a couple trees, or to really do lasting damage to Killer Bee, I mean, Killer Bee was ignited for a decent amount of time. He was thrashing around in the water there for a couple of minutes. He came out pretty unscathed. And then we have, you know, Ulquiorra's Hario. So, I'm going to say it's not going to work on him. But at the same time, I would think at this point Ulquiorra would be like, okay, this guy's got some tricks. I'm going to, you know, it's so futile, but I'm going to show you my released forms. So I think just for that regard, well, the Amaterasu would at least kick Ulquiorra into his released form, which like look at it this way, any pain, any damage that you might think the Amaterasu could even do to Ulquiorra, which from my perspective it probably wouldn't. You know, he would be on fire, but dude's got iron skin, dude can regenerate. So it's just be like, okay, I'm on fire, so what? It's, you know, I'm still here. So he goes into release form, his first release state. In this state, he can release the Cero Oscurus, and he can produce these lances, just kind of what they are. So, this is the big deal. So, after Ulquiorra goes into release form, number 1, and then after Itachi looks at this, and he's just like, okay, I tried everything. I tried Amaterasu, this guy's in this form now, he's way stronger than he ever was before. I gotta go Susanoo on this one. Okay, so, you know, and as we stated, you know, we're not doing Ito Tensei or anything here, so he's still very much at his limit. You know, Ulquiorra's got his limit too. I'm not saying the dude's invincible, but, you know, Ulquiorra, I mean, Itachi, he's got limits, dude. You know, that Mangekyo, he can't keep that shit active for long periods of time. You know, look what happened with Sasuke. You might be saying, oh, well, he used Mangekyo pretty much his entire fight against Sasuke. Yeah. Then he died, you know? It's just that's what happens. If he uses it too much, you die. I mean, you could say, you know, there was that illness thing that he might have had too, but regardless of the illness he had, even with Sasuke when he used it, you know, it takes a huge strain on your eyes, dude, like majorly. So he breaks out Susanoo. Now, Itachi's Susanoo is probably much more unique than any others, probably even more than Madara's, simply for the fact that he has the Totsuka Blade and he has the Yata Mirror. So the Yata Mirror is basically the ultimate defense. Better than anything else in the series that he's in. Yata Mirror can reject anything. It can reject fucking lightning, lightning bolt from the heavens. Done. If you know, Ulquiorra breaks out his Cero Oscurus, there's really no doubt in my mind that his Yata Mirror would be able to reflect that. And we've seen that he can pull that shit out, like, immediately. Like, Itachi's just like, okay, I mean, Sasuke is standing up there, he's just like, lightning strikes 3,000 miles per second, bitch! And then he did that, and then he activates the Susanoo Yata Mirror, no problemo. So, I'm gonna say Cero Oscurus would probably be deflected by his Yata Mirror, regardless. So, right there, or maybe to put it as a better phrase, instead of deflect, let's like Cero Oscurus has got a really long attack range, like really wide attack range. Let's just put it as like, you know, a stream of running water, and then you just put like a little buffer, like a little wall, like in the middle of the stream, so the stream goes around the buffer, kind of like that. It would hit him, but it wouldn't like bounce away. It would just kind of like stream around him because he would have Yata Mirror, plus he would have the Susanoo itself encapsulating Itachi. So that would be his defense there. So, okay, Itachi's just like, okay, so Susanoo's got this, you know, I got the Yata Mirror to deflect him against that. What about the Totsuka Blade? Well, Totsuka Blade is basically Itachi's ultimate attack. It's the ability to trap anybody in an infinite Genjutsu for all eternity. So at this point, to the point where it actually traps your body. It's not just like Tsukuyomi where it traps you in, it just traps your mind. It literally sucks in your body, stores it in a spirit gourd, and it's described as a world of drunken stupor. So basically, you get sent to Ireland, I guess, I suppose. I don't know. Ulquiorra in Ireland. Well, he's green. I guess that would work. But the problem is hitting the dude with it. because Totsuka Blade's speed has never been really shown. I mean, we had him use it against, well, we had him use it twice. He used it once against Orochimaru, but Orochimaru didn't think it would work. Orochimaru just was up there in his snake, and he was just like, no matter what you do to me, he's not gonna, bleh. You know, he wasn't trying to dodge it. Then we had Nagato, who was fighting against him, but at the same time, once again, Nagato wasn't really trying to dodge it. It was more of just a sneak attack sort of thing, so it wasn't really stated exactly how fast this Totsuka Blade thing is. Susanoo's pretty fast, sure, but it's by no means like faster than anything else in the series. People like Raikage, Minato are much, much faster than anybody, than like anything that Susanoo can pull out. Susanoo's not really known for its speed. So, I'm gonna say here, this is a lot of variables, this fight, shit ton of variables, but I'm gonna say that we got Itachi using his Yada-Mirror to deflect Cerro Oscurus. Maybe didn't try to break out the Totsuka Blade. Ulquiorra's advanced speed and Sonido while in this form, and plus his Pesquisa. I forgot to mention the Pesquisa, his sensory nerve. You know, the ability to sense and I didn't really bring that up till now because I didn't think Pesquisa would really work against Genjutsu because that's kind of attack on your mind, that's not a physical attack. But we have this giant, you know, this literal giant standing there with a sword and a shield. I'm thinking Pesquisa would probably work against that because that's a physical attack, that's a physical entity that's attacking him. So with Pesquisa and Enhanced Sonido with his Resurrection, I'm not really thinking that Totsuka would hit him. You know, and now, because, Itachi was able to reflect him with Cerro Oscurus, then we get into Ulquiorra doing his second release. Then we get into Segunda Etapa, his strongest form, which is able to, oh, by the way, before we continue, I just want to bring a little side note up with Segunda Etapa, okay? So, there's some people out there, not a lot of people on the internet anymore, but some people out there still believe that Ulquiorra's not, like, he would be stronger than the fourth Espada, because he said Aizen never saw the form, therefore he might actually be the strongest Espada. I want to quell that right there. There was actually a data book entry, or maybe an interview somewhere with Kubo, where it was stated, like blatantly stated, that Kubo said Aizen knew about it. He just didn't care. And even Ulquiorra stated, Aizen's never seen me in this form. It doesn't mean that he doesn't know about it, he just doesn't see it. So Aizen probably full well knew, because the fact that he created, Ulquiorra as an Espada, and stated him using the Hogyoku, gave him the abilities to transform from a Vasto Lorde into an Arrancar, he would probably know the full extent of his abilities. Because really, at no point in the series have we ever gotten, like, Aizen blatantly surprised about an Espada's ability. He's always been perfectly aware of their powers. So I'm going to say that with the release of his Segunda Etapa ability, he's still as strong as, he stated against Ichigo. He's still the fourth Espada. He's not, hugely stronger. So I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Okay, so that's just a side note. Just to quell some people that are still talking about that around on the internet. Not much I've heard about in recent years, but it's still something that pops up from time to time. So, we have his Lanza del Relampago, which is another huge thing I'm sure a lot of people are going to want me to talk about here. Lanza del Relampago, the ultimate... Oh, look, it's Chibi Ulquiorra. Oh my god, you have no idea how many of these I found on the freaking Google searches when I was looking for this thing. I mean, look at him. He's so adorable. He's just... Okay, go away. Okay. Lanza del Relampago, big fuck-off lightning spear that Ulquiorra can produce multiple of. He can produce multiple of these, not all at once. Like, I've never seen him, like, dual-wield them, like, throw both. But he can throw one and then reform another. And the blast radius of this thing... Almost, I want to say from this image, it looks like almost 3 times the size of fucking Lost Noches. Easily double, And in case you were unaware, Lost Noches, the size of it has been debated, but given the fact of just it takes 3 days to get to one point to another, like Nell stated, just the fact that it's this hugely big, I'm going to give it the size of, think of, like, the biggest city in the world, which, what is that, Mexico City? It's probably, at least 3 or 4 times bigger than that. I'm not going to give it the size, I'm going to say small country, but that might be going a little bit too far. But it's definitely huge. It's definitely more massive than any modern-day city that exists on this planet right now. It's easily 2 or 3 times as large than any of the biggest city you can think of. So if you want to look at it like that, I can look at it like the size of, the size of a small nation, but that's neither here nor there. It's a huge freaking blast radius, okay? So I'm thinking, would the Yada-Mirror be able to reject that? Well, the thing is here, if, Lanza del Relampago hits the Yada-Mirror, I'm thinking it would be able to block it, but at the same time, the shockwave and the blast radius of this thing, it's gonna knock Itachi back. Even if Susanoo is, like, rooted in the ground, And this thing, like, the centrifugal force on this thing would just, like, boom! It would, like, send freaking Itachi flying like a freaking bullet out of a rifle. Because this thing is just, if it hits him right on, I mean, if it misses him and, like, hits another area, maybe, like, the Yadomir will be able to block the shockwave from there, like it missed with Ichigo. But head-on attack with this thing, I mean, my God! It would be like the Yadomir trying to deflect a freaking nuclear bomb, like the freaking SARS bomba. I mean, yeah, it might be able to do it, but it's gonna send you flying. Now, granted, you know, Itachi's got the Susanoo, so even if it did send him flying, you know, it's not gonna, you know, just, you know, cushion the impact with that. I'm just saying, it's gonna cause a lot of damage there. Oh, hey, look, it's magically daytime outside now. No, seriously, I was right about to finish it. I was right about to finish the battle, tell you who won, give my final thoughts, and then my friggin' battery died, and that was last night when I was exhausted, so I just figured out I'd finish it up now. Okay, so we covered pretty much everything else except for the last attack by Itachi that he could possibly use. And this is the one you all think it's going to be a shoo-in, right? And that is the Izanami. The Izanami, one of the ultimate Dao Jutsus, the ultimate jutsu that can be used by Uchiha users. Izanagi I'm not even going to involve because we never saw Itachi use it. He probably can use it, but we never saw him use it. This is not about assumptions. Like, that's the same reason I'm not going to have Ulquiorra do a Gran Rey Sero. Yeah, he can probably do it. In fact, he can do it because it was stated he could do one, but it's never been shown, unless you want to say his Sero Oscurus is his Gran Rey Sero, but that's another thing altogether. But anyway, so Izanami, basically how this works is it's like one of the very few eye jutsus that don't require any kind of eye contact. Basically how it works is that Itachi basically records a set of movements that the enemy goes into. So for first off, he has to still see his enemy, but he like basically takes a photograph or a snapshot of a certain movement. And then the user, that would be Itachi, has to repeat that movement as close as possible and then creates another, you know, basically another photograph, and then the enemy is basically forced to subjugated to that same loop over and over and over again. He only used this once against Kabuto, so the full extent of exactly what it can do is kind of vague, and we got an explanation once, but it really went over my head, so I consulted a wikia for this one. But basically, at the end of the day, it basically locks your opponent in an endless loop, and basically, in the meantime, they are trapped in like just a regular, you know, motionless state while they just replay this loop over and over in their head. Now, the person in question can actually be aware that they're in a loop, because Kabuto even realized, I'm in a loop right now, but there was nothing he could do about it. It just kept running and running over and over again. Now, this is something that... Now, with this, my basic idea, and you're really going to hate me for this, you guys are going to be sitting there thinking, like, I'm out to make Ulquiorra beat the hell out of Itachi, but really, the thing here is, we're not talking about Ito Tensei, we're not talking about Itachi having, like, unlimited chakra, okay? So, you gotta figure, even though Izanami drains an eye, it completely wastes an eye. Now, here's the thing, you guys might hate me, you might be thinking, like, I'm out to make Itachi lose on purpose. I'm really not. I just want to say that the only time we've ever seen him use Izanami is in Edo Tensei. How is this relevant? Well, we don't know if it takes any chakra to use. It probably does, because just having your Sharingan active takes away chakra, having your Mangyakyo takes even more away, and Izanami probably drains your chakra. It might seem like I have it out for Itachi here. It might sound like I'm really trying to make him lose. That's really not the case. But with Izanami, I would assume it takes a chakra to use. The problem is we've only seen it once, so we don't really know. But we would assume it takes a decent amount of chakra to activate the thing to begin with. I mean, yeah, I know Izanami completely destroys your eye. The eye gets shut forever. You can't use its Sharingan anymore. But it also, I mean, just having your Sharingan active and Mangyakyo, it's going to take chakra away from you. Activating Izanami probably even more so. So at this point in the series, we already know that, well, Kakashi said one time that if you try to force a jutsu and you don't have chakra, then it's not going to start. So, I mean, you could say, like, that doesn't have anything to do with Izanami. I personally think it does. I personally think you have to have at least some chakra left to activate it. And at that point in the fight, Izanami is really just a last-ditch effort for Itachi. Because Itachi knows that if he uses it, then he's going to be blind in one eye. But it's basically like, if everything else fails, he'll use it. But you also have to figure at this point, if he's going to use Amaterasu plus Susanoo, and plus get probably like suffer damage already from Ulquiorra's, you know, Sero blasts. You know, and you also have to figure Ulquiorra, you know, he's going to be moving insanely fast to begin with. Would Itachi even be able to see him in order to initiate it? Yeah, Izanami doesn't have to have eye contact with your opponent. All it needs to have is a physical lock-in of their abilities, like a snapshot. But, you know, Segundo Itapa Ulquiorra, he could basically speed blitz Itachi. He really could. Because we've seen how fast he was just in his first release state. In his second release state, you got to at least increase that several times over. You know, he could basically just go up to him and punch him in the face. If it wasn't for Sasano to block, and plus keeping Sasano out for a long period of time is going to kill him. So, really, the thing I'm going to come down here is, and disregarding all other abilities, disregarding all other powers that Ulquiorra and Itachi have, what this really comes down to is just stamina. Itachi is a normal human being. He has limits. He has a finite amount of chakra. That chakra runs down. If it gets close to zero, if it does get down to zero, he dies. But if it gets close to zero, he's not going to be able to use any jutsu. He's going to be just a feeble human being. Yeah, he's got ninja skills. He's got shuriken and kunai, but whoop-de shit. That's not going to do anything against Ulquiorra. Anything that can even leave a dent in Ulquiorra is going to be ninjutsu. And, you know, with the Amaterasu, Mangekyo, Tsukuyomi, Sasano, that's going to burn down really freaking fast. Even in his fight against... even if his fight against Sasuke, he didn't keep Sasano active for that long. Not really. You know, he kept it active to block Kirin, then he used it against the Seal Orochimaru, but after that, he really just dissipated after that. He can't keep that shit up for very long. So we have like a basic stamina. He has limits that are clearly defined in the series. Ulquiorra, on the other hand, does have limits. He has stamina, but he's not a human being. He's an Arrancar, which is basically a super soldier designed for war, designed to last, as an artificial being, as it were. So really, he could run out of steam too, but Itachi's gonna burn out way before Ulquiorra does, like way before. You know, so at the end of the day, I have to say this, and you're going to get, well, people are going to get mad at me regardless, but I have to really say that at the end of the day, I personally believe that the winner of this fight between Itachi and Ulquiorra would indeed be Ulquiorra. Now, I can hear you all, like, typing away on your mobile devices and keyboards right now. Immediately, just pause the freaking videos. Like, I gotta let him know exactly how I feel about this, and go ahead. I mean, you guys kept pretty civil last time, so I gotta give you guys props for that. You guys didn't really go too nuts on the last video, but this fight might be more controversial for all I know. What I want to say, though, like, as a final closer here for this, is that I am not saying Itachi doesn't have the potential to kill Ulquiorra, or the potential to take Ulquiorra out. Here's the thing. If Itachi used Sasano, Totsuka, and then maybe or Izanami as like the first thing in the battle, catching Ulquiorra off guard, then yeah, that might work. In fact, it probably most likely will work, because Ulquiorra would never see that coming, you know? If he just opened up with Izanami, he would lose an eye, but I mean, Ulquiorra wouldn't know that. He'd just be like, what the hell? And he'd get trapped in it. Now, Izanami can also be broken out of it through a certain... I could never really understand exactly how you go about breaking out of it. I'm not sure if Ulquiorra would be able to do that, so that's another issue. But that's beside the point. The point is that, The point remains that Itachi doesn't fight like that. He doesn't immediately jump to Sasano unless he's an Edo Tensei, which he wouldn't be in this fight, where he has unlimited chakra, essentially. He would not. As a human, the point is to conserve chakra, to kind of finish your opponent off without busting off your huge burner techniques. So, you know, he's not going to jump to Sasano right away. He's not going to jump to Izanami right away. If he did, he would win. But at that point in the fight where he does use Izanami, Ulquiorra would be fully aware of what exactly... He wouldn't have a complete understanding of what Genjutsu was or what the Sharingan is, but he understands, like, okay, if I make eye contact with this guy for too long, shit's gonna go downhill. Something's gonna happen to me. I don't want that to happen anymore. So he's probably gonna be, at that point, he's probably gonna be, you know, wicked fast and not even giving a chance to look at him, because at that point Ulquiorra would be able to fight probably just based on his pesquisa and not even paying attention using eyesight, really. But so that's what it basically comes down to. I'm not saying Itachi would completely be owned by Ulquiorra, but the way he would normally fight would not be the way that Ulquiorra would be able to lose. It wouldn't work that way. It's a double-edged sword. At the same time, we could have Edo Tensei Itachi, you know, but then again, that's kind of a one-sided fight on another scale, because, you know, he wouldn't be able to die. He would be able to regenerate probably just as fast as Ulquiorra would be. He would have unlimited chakra. He can just jump right to Sasano, and then maybe he could use Totsuka Blade right away, because at that point he doesn't care. He's a freaking zombie. So it's either way we're going to look at this, it's going to be kind of a one-sided fight. Now, I was actually kind of looking at that when I was reviewing this. I'm just like, this is actually kind of a one-sided fight, regardless of if we do Ito Tensei Itachi, it's going to be a one-sided fight for Itachi. If we just keep Itachi human, it's going to be a one-sided fight for Ulquiorra. You might disagree with that, which a lot of you probably do, but that's why it took me so hard to figure out a fight. I'm trying to figure out some logical way that, some way that Itachi might be able to turn the tables here against Ulquiorra. All I'm really coming up with is Totsuka Blade or Izanami, but it's just, there's no way that would hit him. It's just, it's not going to happen. So, at the end of the day, that's my final analysis of Itachi Uchiha versus Ulquiorra Schiffer. Ulquiorra is the victor. I apologize for this. I apologize really that I messed up my rating system. That's something I really didn't do. I really need to rework that depending on which kind of the type of people that are fighting. If it's just melee fighters like Ichigo and Naruto, then yeah, that system would work. But for fights like this, it probably wouldn't work out too well. I'd probably have to modify that. So let me know what you guys think in the description below. In the comments below on exactly how I did here. If you like these crossover battles, I'm always up for doing some more of them. Let me know if who you think I should do next. I have a Facebook fan page that you guys go and like that. It's got some Twitter. You can follow me there. I do some Ustream live shows. All links for that, all that good stuff is below. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, everyone. Tekking101 signing out. I look forward to reading your very insightful comments. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not looking forward to this.